But, Tony Khan, there ain't nobody like Tony Khan. Tony Khan is a regular dude who just happens to be a billionaire. Like, he's a regular guy. He's nice to he's nice to enhancement guys.
Right.
I mean, so why would you want to work anywhere else? And he's got a lot of stroke where he's at. So, that's important, man, especially as you go on this journey. So that's the answer to your long one, of course.
Yeah, you mentioned Tony Khan. What are your thoughts of the back and forth between him and Eric Bischoff lately? I know you're close friends, with both. I think it's just a little misunderstanding that a phone call would cure.
I think life's work. I think Eric Bischoff, Eric Bischoff is the one who was behind the Pillman thing. That was Eric Bischoff. Okay.
Right.
I can remember because me and Brian were super tight. And I can remember the night he did Fuck You, Booker Man. Literally said, fuck you, Booker Man. Live on the air. I'm sure they stopped that, but it's still, you had to have it. There's a beep in there or no words. I don't know how it came off, but I was in the back because he would, this whole thing, the loose cannon, that was something that him and Bischoff talked about. Bischoff really liked Pillman. And he was being so vocal. This is bullshit. Why the fuck? I mean, in the back, like, you don't do that shit. But he was, because he was a loose cannon. And I pull him aside. I'm like, Brian, what are you doing? Like, this is the night of. And he goes, yeah, I know. And I go, but Bishop really likes you, bro. Like, you're going to get your spot. You just got to be a little more patient. Like, breathe a little bit. Yeah, you're right. Then he went out and did that. And everybody was like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God. Except for one person. Disco. Bischoff never told me any of this. Later on, Pillman would say, I felt so bad. I wanted to tell you so bad, but I couldn't. When you're in that spot, because I've been in that spot, where no one knows but me and those 4 people. When I did La Parka. And
Right.
There's other things that happened that I did that nobody knew except for the people who really mattered and was going to let you do it or not. And, friggin' disco. It's a work. It's a work. And I started thinking, holy shit, is it a work? And I walked up from behind him and I grabbed his shoulders and I leaned in. I said, asshole, if it's a work, maybe you should shut the fuck up. I mean, they're trying to do something here that I bought.
Right.
Because I was next to it the whole time. I bought it. I got pulled in, but disco was right. Because disco is, people have their own opinion, but disco, I love disco. And disco is very smart to the business. That's why Conan, who's another guy who's super smart to the business, has disco on his podcast.
Right.
Because Glenn knows everything. He's like kind of like Rogan in the way. Don't mean to say that, Joe, in any slighting way, but he's kind of like Rogan in a way that he knows a little bit about everything. Everything. And sports, he's a gambler. He knows a shitload about sports in general. So it's a great, co-host to have with you. Like with Jake, when me and Jake are doing the podcast with Conrad right there, we don't have to think. Like, there's really nothing for us to prepare except, and this will be in this week's episode, and I've been talking about it since last week. Have you seen Heels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome show.
Out of the wrestling fans, the percentage of wrestling fans, because they only had like 30,000 people tune in and view that show.
Right.
How many people in the percentage of wrestling audience, how much percentage you think saw the show?
Oh, if like 2%, 3%.
Right. That's my point. Yeah. That's my point. And when I was at All In, I'm pretty sure it was All In. And I was up in the booth, with they had to go up there for some VIP thing or whatever. And I see this kid working in the ring. And I'm thinking, damn, who is that? He's pretty damn good. And I watched his whole match. And I'm like, how do I not know who that is? And then he's working with Christopher Daniels, right? Who's a hell of a hand. I mean, some of the matches that kid's had over the years, especially with Frankie Kazarian, like those guys, they're together, of course, a lot of the time. But when they go against each other, that shit's magic, what they do. But I believe he was working for Chris. And I came downstairs and I said to Cody, I said, who was that guy I just saw working? He goes, that's Stephen Emile. I go, that's Stephen Emile? He goes, yeah, he's coming through the curtain right now. So as he walked in, he went, hey, Stephen, this is DDP. He goes, I know who DDP is. I gave him a hug. I was like, dude, wow. Really, I've worked with a shitload of celebrities, okay? But by that point, Stephen wasn't a celebrity wrestler. He was one of the boys.
Right.
And then for him when I heard that he was doing this show and he was the lead, I thought, wow, that's got something in it. Now, I read the first episode 3 years before it ever got made because I wanted to play Wild Bill. I said, this is me. I own this. I will steal the show. When I saw Chris Bauer playing Wild Bill, I was like, no one should be playing that role but that guy. Like, that guy embodies being one of the boys. I mean, he's so one from the 70s, right. Not the friggin' 90s, or 2000, but from the 70s, he's a stone cold killer. And I just started thinking when Jake and I'd asked Jake if he'd seen Heels, and he's like, no, I haven't seen it yet. I said, I've seen it from beginning to ending. The first episode is hard to watch because they're trying to smarten up people who don't know wrestling.
Right.
And in some parts, to their credit, they do a pretty good job, especially seeing who the fans are. Like, the fans are like the real fans. It's not like the shit they did with Ready to Rumble, where it was the Copenhagen dipping, coupon clipping, draft beer drinking redneck, who's wrestling's real. Like, no. Wrestling fans are like me and you, and the people who are watching this right now. They're not that. They're regular people. And they're from CEOs of companies to guys who work at 7-Eleven. That's what it is. Right. So I said to Jake, no one's talking about this show. No one's seen it. Let's friggin' watch it. I don't want to know how you feel about it. We're coming from two different eras, but we think very similar to storytelling and character building and all that. So in this week's episode of DDP's Snake Pit, we don't start out talking about heels. I think it's at the end of the show. I can't remember because we've got a couple of them in the can right now. But every week, starting today, we will be talking about episode 1. Now, we won't talk about the finish because we don't want to be a spoiler in case you're going to go and watch it, which now it's on Amazon Prime, along with Resurrection of Jake the Snake and our other documentary, Relentless, which, is pretty cool that a lot of stuff ends up on Amazon Prime. And most people have Amazon Prime. Now, I don't know if you got to pay for it when you get there or what, but it's on Stars. That's the regular station. And I was really glad to hear that they got a second season with nobody watching it. It reminds me of Friday Night Lights. Like, did you ever see Friday Night Lights?
Yep.
One of the best sports series ever.
Yeah.
Ever. But they got 0 ratings. Nobody watched it. I'm thinking, how can nobody with all the football fans not watching the show? And it ended up eventually got dropped and got picked up on DirecTV and had a hell of a 7-year series out of it. Great stuff. If you want to binge watch and you've never seen Friday Night Lights, amazing. So one of the things that Conrad, because Conrad's like because he's got his computer in there, and he's kind of like got like where the sportscasters get fed information, and he's just a whiz when it comes to looking up all the stuff. Like one of the things he mentioned, he said that one of the hottest shows out right now is Yellowstone, right?
Right.
Yellowstone either has an 80 or an 86 Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Heels has a 96.
Right.
So we bust balls on the show too. It ain't like all flowers and roses, especially that first episode. Because I want people to know it's going to be tough for you to get through, but get through it. Get through the second, it starts to grab you. By the third, you're in. And we still throw flags because there's certain shit they do. It's like, why did you do that? And every week, like on episode 4, when we get the heels, we'll talk about the finish first. Like, how did that show end? What did I feel? And sometimes me and Jake are complete opposite, but we both have reasons for how we feel like that. And sometimes one of us will change each other's mind. Oh yeah, I didn't really think about it like that. And it's really interesting because, again, we're two Hall of Famers who know a little bit about storytelling and getting over. So, our opinion means something. And they're not paying me to do this. It's just something I wanted to have for content, for the show, something to do. So it was something that nobody else was doing,
Right. So with the Bischoff and Tony Khan stuff, you think that's a work? You think Bischoff's just getting some attention, or?
I don't know. I don't know. It very well could be a shoot, but if I called Eric Bischoff and talked to him, he wouldn't tell me. He'd start busting on Tony. He did whatever he's doing. I'm not really aware of it. I just think that everything's a work.
Yeah.
What grabs attention, and obviously Eric is doing a great job because you're the 4th person that's asked me. So whatever Eric and Tony are doing is working.
Right.
That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if they're talking good about you or bad about you. Don't ever forget that Eric Bischoff was a best-selling author with the title of, God, I can't remember right now.
Controversy Creates Cash.
Yes, Controversy Creates Cash. Like, the guy wrote a book on it. So,
this is something I've never asked you, but Bischoff obviously was very competitive back, during those times. What was the mindset of the talent? Were they kind of the same? Like, yeah, let's have WWE go out of business, or did they just want both to be competitive and both be alive and kicking?
None of the boys, whether they said they did or not, ever wanted to see one of the companies go out of business.
Right.
How does that benefit us?
Right.
It's like, thank God for Tony Khan in AEW, because he did create a really high quality. Let me ask you an honest question. Do you think, and Tony, and I know Cody has a lot to do with the show and everything, but it's Tony's show, and he'll be the first to tell you that. Like, you got to give Tony Khan the credit the way you gave it to Vince McMahon. Did you ever think that they would have 2 shows? 2 shows. Okay.
Right.
And friggin' doing what's considered, they're nothing numbers compared to what we had, but we had a whole different platform. There was only X amount of channels. There was 2 big companies at the time. Everybody was going back and forth. It was a whole different animal. For what they have, they're doing really amazing numbers, like really amazing numbers. Did you ever think that would be possible?
Right. Yeah. No, not 3 years ago. I didn't.
and this goes back to probably the number one, I don't know if we call it a statement, cliche, whatever you want to call it. Never say never.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Never say
Absolutely.
never in this crazy business known as wrestling. You
And
know,
it is interesting because you know them way better than I do, but Tony Khan and Vince McMahon just seem like as polar opposite people as you
100%,
can be.
100%,
Yeah.
complete polar opposites. Uh, I think that no matter what, whatever it takes to, I don't know, even what he's saying right now because I haven't been paying attention to it.
Right.
That like I said, I got 7 companies and I, I've got a lot of shit going. And then adding the podcast onto it. And I'm building a retreat down in Panama City Beach. I just got with a builder today. My wife, Paige, she's heading it up for me because she's so smart. Um, but she's going to be the one who really pulls that together. But we're building a retreat in Panama City Beach on the beach.
Nice.
And I'll probably do 10 retreats a year where I bring people in. And it's going to be a 4-story, beautiful beach house that fourth floor will be mine. But down below have 6 or 7 bedrooms in it. And we'll bring people in. It'll be just like that. We're going to Mexico. We're doing a retreat there, except for I'm the hotel too. So it's really worth my time to do it. And there's so many people that we'd also spend a lot more personal time with people and helping them out and directing them. And that'll all be laid out probably 2023. Like I said, we got a lot of things going on.
Nice. And you're always busy. Also, let the listeners of this know about the Positively Unstoppable contest. How they can enter, where they can join.
Yeah, that's pretty. Those contests that we do, they're our challenge. They're kind of magical. This is our 4th year doing it, and this year it's a $250,000 you could win. If you get to the final, because there's one that's crowned out of that, the minimum you win is like 25 grand. The minimum if you're a champion, then the rest people get like 5 grand or whatever. But there's so many that we pick because there's so many people that enter. And right now, we started January 1st and it goes to the end of September. But it's a 6-month contest. So you start in January, June, there's your 6 months. Now, say you do shitty in January. I'm going to start in February. So wherever you start in February, because you got to take a picture and, with some kind of thing that says what day it is and all that. And then you got 6 months and it's your best 6 months. You could start in March and go March, April, May, June, July, August, or you could start in April and go to September, whatever it is. And with it, we have the positivelyunstoppable.com site. If you sign up there, go to positivelyunstoppable.com, no one comes for the money. There's not one person. The guy who won lost 100 pounds before he started the contest.
Wow.
He was 390. He would drop another 70 pounds from January 1 till the end of June. And he kept it off the whole time. And it wasn't just the physical transformation. It's the mental transformation. Because really, any of those 6 people could have won because we judge it on your physical transformation and what were you doing before the contest? What did you do after the contest? We judge it on your mental state of mind. If you could talk to Brian Tan, who is our grand champion this year, or really any one of them, anyone, Maria, Stephanie, we had 2 Brians, another Brian Gray, Jeremy, and Pat, 6 people. Any one of those people, they're a completely different person. And the interesting part was one of the guys named Jeremy, he lost 70 pounds and 40 of it was during the contest. But to know the drug addiction that he was before he started doing our program and where he was and where he is today, where he was while he was going through the contest, it was mind-boggling. And it was really this right here is why he friggin' made the switch. And that's where he came, okay, I'm ready. And he did this thing on Not My Rock Bottom Yet. I mean, the shit that he has gone through to really talk to him and where he was and where he is today. And there was 2 people on this list that, thought they were better off dead. That don't feel like that anymore. Jake is one of those people. Jake was pissed when someone would die and it wasn't him. Like he talks about it on the podcast on one of them things where he says, I'm ashamed that I said this. He said, but I wanted to die so bad, he said, that when he got up to speak at Sherry Martell's funeral, he said, I thought we were friends, Sherry. Why did you leave me here? He's not proud of that, but he was in a bad spot. But that was what his mental mindset was. Like, where you're going to see in that docuseries, Change and Die, it's going to be a lot of the kind of stuff that me and Jake and Scott went through, but now we got 5 people in there, and when you find out who those other 2 people are, you're going to be, 2 of the 5, you're going to be like, oh my God, I got to see this, because you got to see like what happens. And I don't know what's going to happen. I have an idea. I have a plan. My business partner, Steve Yu, has a plan, but that doesn't mean it goes like that.
Right.
I know what we're trying to produce. It's going to cost me about $750,000. I'm doing it all myself. I'm not bringing in any TV producers or any of that shit. We did Relentless. We did The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. We've done unbelievable stories. I have a team that they're not editors. They're storytellers. Like, where do you see the videos that come out of these 6 people who were our grand champions and the champions of our last year's Positively Unstoppable contest?
Yeah.
And again, just go to positivelyunstoppable.com. Go to DDP Yoga, one word, just like this, on Facebook, and you'll see them up there. You'll see them posting. You'll see them helping people. You'll see the people from the year before and the year before helping people and giving them positive direction. Like, it's mind-blowing what that, like, I put the Facebook site, because again, a buddy of mine named Chris Gabriano, he started it for a couple buddies. Now there's over 70,000 people on this page, which is a members only page. And all you got to do is like the page, remember.
Right.
But the people who come on there and share their stories, and like, it's a no shame and it's a no negativity. Whenever I hear anything negative, it'll get to me pretty quickly. And I will go right to that person and go, what the fuck are you doing? That's not what this is. Like, come on, like, stop that.
Right.
And if they're going to keep going, we just delete.
Yeah.
No, I have no time for negativity. Life's too short. And for all the people working so hard on that page, that DDP Yoga page on Facebook, don't listen to a word I have to say about anything when it comes to my company. Go ask other people. Go read what they write. It's kind of like, you can't make people cheer for you.
Yeah.
You can't make people care about you. Like, Vince has tried it with a bunch of people and didn't work.
Right.
Roman Reigns got over on his own before he got that big push. He got over on his own. People loved him when they were all together as that threesome that they put together. They put him at the top spot. So he was way over before he got any kind of real push. So people can't say, I don't even put him in that spot. And some of the smart people out there who didn't like him, booed him and whatever, turn him heel. he's a damn good heel now. You know, he's just a great worker. He gets the people up. They care about him. Along the line of like Cena. A lot of people didn't like Cena. Cena works his ass off. And anybody who doesn't get John, well, that's what you decide not to like. But
Right.
John's a freaking warrior, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at his Hollywood career now. You know, I mean, he's killing it. So when I see guys like The Rock, who's the #1 star in the world, biggest box office draw in the world, and has been for years, that's one of our guys. Like, that's huge. And look what Dave Batista's doing, and Cena. I mean, super, super, super cool, man. Super cool stuff, man. And just making a really great name for our business and the boys who do it.
I'm telling you, once you're done with heels, reviewing heels, maybe a Peacemaker next, because that show is great.
Actually, it's funny because I actually have, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but it will drop probably in the second quarter of 2022. It's a Netflix original, and it's called Guardians of Justice. And it's a very dark superhero series. It's something that took us now 7 years to really put together because it was on and off the table. And the last 2 years, because there's a lot of really cool animation in it. There's 8 different types of 2D animation. There's 3D animation and there's claymation worked into this storyline. And it was way darker before Netflix got a hold of it because they lightened it up quite a bit. Still dark, but they lightened it up quite a bit. But it's going to break soon. It's my show, man.
Nice.
And I didn't think I could do it when we put it together. Adi Shankar, it's called an Adi Shankar experience, and he's one of the, he's a very sharp dude who really, he's got his thumb on the pulse beat of what people are interested in, and that's different. There's never been anything like this. So just to get a chance to work with them, we become really good friends, and we were in October, we were in the Cannes International Series Festival, which is about as prestigious as you can get, and so I'm looking forward to that breaking Netflix. Once you get it, once you see it, then I'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Awesome. Well, you're one of the busiest people I know. So this is great. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me this morning.
My pleasure, Raj. You always took care of us. Remember, anybody, if you want to check it out, every Tuesday, DDP Snake Pit drops iTunes, Spotify, and if you just Google it or YouTube Google it, I like the video because it's me and Jake sitting there, and sometimes we're laughing at each other. We always have the little comments for each other, and I throw in pictures, throughout it, sometimes video, so we're not talking heads, and you never know who's going to stop by. And that's a really cool part too, because it's our show, me, Conrad, and Jake, but at any point we film at the Performance Center, so you never know who's going to stop by. So check us out.
Definitely check it out. The #1 sports wrestling podcast around right now. So definitely check it out. DDP Snake Pit, everywhere podcast can be found. So check it out. Dallas, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. I know you're going to have a snake on soon too. So have fun with him.
Absolutely. All right. Take care.